Hello and welcome back to the online conference. We're in the second part of the event, and I would like to start the panel discussion on the topic InnoSchool and the next steps into social entrepreneurship. From our guests, you will find out how they see InnoSchool in the next coming years. I would like to introduce the guests of our talk. Hello, Adrian Hatos, Daniela Tirzul, Arnold Gutmeier, and Vojta Ira. I would like to tell you a bit about each one of the guests. Adrian Hatos is the chairman of the Commission for Science, Innovation and Technology. He's the member of the Commission for Education, Youth and Sports Romanian Senate. Daniela Tirzul is a program coordinator for CLIA Association, Republic of Moldova. She has over 14 years of experience in the field of project management, contribution to the implementation of various projects, aiming at providing youth with opportunities to explore their fullest potential. And currently, Daniela is actively involved in developing partnerships with educational institutions and other stakeholders to motivate them to participate in the pilot for the InnoSchool project and to include entrepreneurship education in their curriculum. Arnold Gutmeier is developing the implementation of transnational projects co-founded by the European Union on behalf of Vienna Board of Education, the European office, with a very special focus on creating innovative tools and services for education sector. In case of the InnoSchool project, he also contributes with his vast experience in business consultancy and market research. And Vojta Ira is a project manager at Dexic for 3 years. Previously, he worked as a project manager in the public sector, but also as a lecturer and manager of a documentary film festival on a sustainable development. As part of the InnoSchool project, he has played a key role in the piloting of the ILS. So here we are at the panel discussion, and I would start by asking the first question. How do you guys feel that the pandemic situation has created the need for the transformation of education, and how can the ILS play a role in that? Who would like to start first?
Yeah, if it's fine for everyone, I would like to start. So hello everyone, hello Wana, hello to all the participants. Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. It's a pleasure to join this panel session. Yes, referring to the question about the pandemic situation and the changes towards the educational system, yeah, we definitely see, and we all know and have experienced in the past 2 years that the pandemic situation has actually rapidly changed our everyday life of all of us, and it definitely had also a very big impact on the educational system and especially on the day-to-day life at our schools in all our territories. So this means the teachers had to educate in a different way and setting. Students had to learn at home and in a different learning environment. And yeah, the situation was not very happy for all of us, and we often felt very limited by those external conditions. And yeah, we missed, and I think we all still miss our former life. But I also would like to point out that we all have developed new competences during this past 2 years, during this pandemic situation. And looking in particular at the youth, I want to point out that certain competences of the students have definitely increased. So in this generation, they are able to adjust very flexible to new situations. They have learned to cope with this situation and these conditions, and they have learned to organize themselves in a complete new environment, learning environment. And so, by the way, they got familiar with new technologies and learned to use them and integrate them in the daily life. So looking at this and this from this perspective, I think the ability to manage such a situation, such a very difficult situation, will be a kind of lifelong, lasting experience for our young generation and for this youth. So I think they can learn a lot from the past 2 years and see how they can proceed. In this period, we also used to learn new technologies in our education, and ILS, the InnoSchool learning system, is one of them, and the experience showed that it can be well used in a distance mode, but also in class.
I think the connection of Arnold is not very good. Arnold, if you can hear us. Yeah, let's move the question to the next speaker. Daniela, will you answer the first question, please? And we'll get back to Arnold when the connection is better.
Yes, well, to your question, I was thinking that transformations in the education towards bringing it to more digital environment was already on its way, even before the pandemic crisis, because more and more digital tools have been developed to be used in the teaching process. But this pandemic situation, of course, has forced a massive shift away from the way that we were used to do things. And of course, it wasn't that easy to do it in the classical physical settings as we used to before. And of course, education had to undergo through transformation, and it still is under transformation. And as any new things, it seems a bit uncomfortable in the beginning, but I'm sure that by now the teachers and everyone involved in education have understood that we won't be going back to the world as it was before. So we need to adapt, we need to adjust our ways so that we can meet the needs of young people that are so in such a way are developing that we won't be able to teach without technology anymore. So we try to see the bright side and explore the potential that the technology gives us. And from the way we see it, it's that students from some remote areas have even more access to education, as they can access some educational courses that they couldn't have before. They can even work together on various tasks with their peers from other countries. So in a way, of course, this is something beneficial that opens the doors, but in another way, we still have to reconsider the right to education and see how can we ensure that all the students, especially those from remote areas, have access to connection, to good internet connection, and to different knowledge and information. So ILS, I would think that was foreseeing that something will happen towards digitalization of education. Of course, we didn't know that it would be in such way, but we are glad that we were visionary a few years ago, and that now we are going the same way with the actual trends, so to meet the needs, the actual needs that are imposed today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the most important aspects of the digital transformation of education is the reach to the remote students, that they can benefit from international expertise and knowledge right in their homes, no matter where they are, and collaborate with peers from other countries. I think this is absolutely wonderful. Arnold, let's get back to you. We lost you for a bit. You would like to continue your idea. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Oana. Actually, that was all from my initial statement. So just lost the connection for some seconds, but I'm back, and hopefully I won't get lost again.
Yes, you were speaking of lifelong lasting experience and new technology with this project.
Yes, yeah, the role of ILS is definitely the one that it is actually what we, as you already heard, it was designed as a rather blended learning method. So we actually wanted to use as an online tool, integrated into the lessons in the classroom and combined with additional offline activities. And with the upcoming pandemic situation, we had to adapt. And yeah, as already we mentioned before, it was possible to switch to the distance learning mode and to use the ILS also in a purely online environment. And in further steps, we even improved this for the distance learning mode. And during the pandemic situation, gamification was already mentioned. Sometimes it was definitely also very welcomed by the students. So I think they liked the entertaining character of the InnoSchool learning system, and enjoyed proceeding with the learning goals.
You are successfully combining two ways, education and entertainment, as a way to communicate the valuable information, which is a success recipe in marketing in general. But yeah, I think also that it was a visionary project, not only with the gamification, but with the digitalization infrastructure that you projected from the beginning. Vojta, what's your opinion?
Yes.
How do you feel that the pandemic has transformed the education, and how does ILS play a role in all this?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the question. I think that a lot of interesting word was said by my partners, but I think that the situation certainly showed us that the possibilities of distance learning and the importance of suitable tools for online teaching are here, and the InnoSchool has made it easier for many schools to work with the students, I think, and at distance, and has shown how it can be beneficial not only during the pandemics, but also in other situations where students has no physical contact with teachers. I think this is the most benefit. The InnoSchool wasn't planned like for distance learning, but the situation showed us that it could be used for that, and it was great chance for teachers how can use it during not physical contacts with their students.
Adrian Hatos has joined the meeting. Welcome. Now, I would like to ask you, the other guests have already answered this question. How do you feel that the pandemic situation has transformed education, and how can ILS play a role in all this?
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for being late. I had some technical difficulties connecting to your webinar. But these technical difficulties are part of our new, let's say, virtual interactive environment in which almost all interactions have to be done, including educational interactions. Not all of them, but most of them, sorry, not all of them, most of them. And anytime somebody like me or somebody like our pupils, students have this kind of difficulties, we have to think or to remember that this is one of the part of the online education that has to be taken care of and solved. This is a problem. In this case, my connection to your Zoom meeting. This is a problem of access to devices and of access to connection on the one hand, and also is an issue of being able to deal with this kind of issues. This is a problem of access to infrastructure on the one hand. There's also a problem with skills. These kind of issues occurs in a while, and people should be able to manage this kind of issues. And not everybody is actually able. If you noticed, it took me some time to connect to your meeting, but these issues could occur to everybody. And it's imagine that you have a meeting of 100 students. How convenient you can meet with 100 person who don't have to spend time and money to go in the same place, who can comfortably join into a virtual room from their own living rooms or offices. But actually, it's not that easy. You need very good software, you need very good infrastructure, you need very good skills from everyone. Delays can be large, and due to unequal skills, competencies, digital competencies of those involved, things can go bad. So this very often happened, and I don't want to discuss in length about this, but when we praise the benefits of distance learning, we have to take into account this part of the story. Besides that, the pandemic has been a very strong push towards turning to more delocalized and more technical intensive type of interactions in teaching. Teachers were forced by the situation, or administratively by the legislative or by the governments or who knows what, to acquire a minimum degree of skills in order to be able to cope the situation and deliver content. And they were also, much of them were also forced to produce their own digitally available content. Not we used to blame the teachers, for example, that they are not digitally skilled enough. But to be honest, governments also and other authorities who should have been responsible with that were also taken by surprise and on a left foot when taking rapid measures for the education in the situation of pandemic, and also to provide for everyone with adequate content, because everybody knows teaching using internet is not the same with teaching in the classroom, and you need special kind of contents. When students are in front of a screen and in their home, they are not in the same way capable of focusing on the content and on the teacher like in a normal on-site situation. So it's not enough to transpose the lesson into a PowerPoint and to speak in front of a camera for 40 minutes, like very many teachers actually do on any level. Of course, there are very many very interesting contents which have been already produced and available. For example, like this a serious game that was produced by the guests of our panel. But the main question remains still, how many students actually can use it or use them, and how many students, teachers are capable of making use of the capabilities of this kind of very nice, let's say, interesting and attractive contents. Because in order to use them, you need to learn them. You have to learn how to use them, and you have to be in a special disposition which not everybody has. So access is the main issue, and then the availability or the disposition to learn how to use these contents and produce these contents. And beyond that, then comes the inequality, that the intensive and careless use of this kind of contents is capable of increasing. Students already were not equal in their access to contents, teachers either. And the more complicated the contents, in technical way, I mean, are, the larger the inequalities that affect access of students to these complicated contents. So, yeah, it's very nice to have very joyful and gameful, entertaining contents when you learn on internet, but we have to take into account the problem of who are not those who cannot access that, who cannot participate in this kind of lesson. Because, to be honest, this kind of technically intensive educational contents require a lot of resources. It's not exactly for anyone. And probably somebody should provide them in a way that makes everyone capable of using them.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to ask you, how do you see the ILS playing a role in transforming education?
In a very short, in a very brief way, I would say that any time the motivation, and psychologists know better than me that learning depends on motivation, and entertainment adds to, and gamification, not only entertainment, but gamification, which is not exactly the same, adds to the motivation of those who learn. Yeah, we know very well, beyond what we would like to be the reality, that going to school, learning, reading, making homeworks, it's not exactly what anyone wants to do. So it's welcome any kind of delivery of content that makes learning less tedious, less unpleasant, or even pleasant. Mm-hmm. And this serious game makes learning something which, to be honest, is not interesting for very many people, like social responsibility and entrepreneurship, much more pleasant. So in this way, even if it would not be on internet or using digital technology, I can imagine something like that being on a board game, mm-hmm. And playing in the classroom. Yeah, it's much more pleasant and much more useful. The only problem with this, I would say, but in general terms, not with this, is that usually when you add entertainment to learning, that adds also more time consumed for learning, because you cannot play in a rush. When you play, you have to take time to play. Pleasure doesn't come when you are in a hurry. You need time to play. So we should also be careful if the added educational value of playing or entertaining ourselves while learning doesn't come, maybe surprisingly, with less content that can be delivered, because time is a finite resources. But it is still, I think, if we have to make a balance or a kind of net of the losses or gains, I think we are still on a positive, because using this kind of tools, you can engage in learning almost everyone. While in classical education, very many students would not be attracted, would not be interested, and would just want the class to pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understood. Yeah, the idea that you have to focus on delivering the right kind of content for the students to integrate it, to consume it, to receive it in their own language, to be tailored to their own needs and expectations.
And there is also another issue with gamification and with this kind of tools, which, to be honest, technically are complicated, that they make the production, not the delivery, the production of the I don't know how to say that, the vehicle that conveys the content, the educational content, out of reach of common teachers. So in our traditional education, teachers are informed the list of skills that they are expected to transmit through classes to their students into adequate content. This is also probably a part of what pedagogy teaches them. While using software and stuff like that makes the teacher dependent on that, less capable of producing its own content. So if I would be in the position to discuss with the software designers, I would propose them to make environments which would be more flexible for teachers to make their own games, their own tools out of modules, out of parts, templates, and stuff like that. Probably something like that already exists. Opa. I'm using my phone because my computer does not want to connect to the internet. In a way, because this would also empower the teachers. The teacher using these tools makes teachers just like a kind of middlemen. So you are like in the position of the teacher, more like somebody who makes a kind of gameplay, showing to the students how should they employ that program in order to take maximum of joy and maximum of educational benefit. But almost everything is already there, put by somebody else, by those who actually made the program, and I congratulate them. I'm talking on a big picture. The program is okay. If you ask me about the serious game, we already had some meetings and discussed it. It's very nice and very entertaining and very, although it is called a serious game, but to be honest, very few entertaining things are happening, at least in Romanian education. So everything which is a little bit entertaining is already welcome. There were some very small issues like names maybe should be adapted to the Romanian context, and also names of the characters in the game. And also I remember that there were some long discussions, or rather long discussions, about the ownership of the copyright of the program after the project is ended, closed, and each of the partners would like to use the source code to customize for their own necessities the program. But I think that this can be solved.
Mm-hmm. Arnold, Daniela, would you have something to add?
Yes, maybe about the content that can be adjusted on by every teacher. This would be really a nice add-on feature, definitely. I think it's difficult to realize, would make a lot of effort. But just to remind you, all the content in the InnoSchool learning system was developed by our transnational project partnership, not only by the project partners themselves, but through the engagement, through the involvement of relevant stakeholders, of the target groups, of teachers, of students, and of the experts from each territory. So it is what we have created here is something like a kind of product from our own transnational region. Yeah, this is something that that can be also recognized. Yeah, so you can read about the social challenges from our territories. You can read about best practice examples from social entrepreneurs from all the regions, what they have, how they were able to contribute to their community. And this is a product grown in our region, and I think it can also be recognized by every teacher that the content is something that is connected to their own community as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would like to add that besides that, the game is mostly played by the students, the pupils, and during the offline part or the other part besides the game of the program, teachers have flexibility. They can use other tools that they believe that are convenient and appropriate for their class. So there's a large opportunity for teachers to bring in their potential and create their own products that they can use while developing the program with the specific class of students.
Yeah, which leads us to the next question. How do you think that this program would benefit the students? What kind of skills, what kind of impact can this program create in their life and their future activity? Arnold was saying before that in this project, the students, also the teachers, gain new skills, new experience, and for some it can be a lifelong experience where they gain not only skills but fresh knowledge, a new perspective on how to do things. So I would like to ask you a new question. How do you think the students would benefit from this program? Wojta, would you like to start?
Yes, I can start. I think that I can imagine that there are many benefits for students. But the first thing that comes to my mind, get to know interesting example from their surroundings that can inspire them and show them the way. Because students during the game need to know what is the social entrepreneurship, but they also need to know if some social entrepreneurship live around them. And this is one interesting fact for them, I think. Another thing that comes to my mind is the basic orientation in the area, which is new to them in Czech cases. Even today, often hear the topic of social entrepreneurship somewhere. Last not least, I would see an opportunity to promote their own ideas and develop them. I think there is a lot of things what's InnoSchool brings to students, and my partners also find some of these examples. And I think that important is to try it, go through the InnoSchool and find what exactly brings to each student, and it could be different, but I think it could be very nice and interesting.
Daniela?
I would mention something from the experience of the Moldovan students involved in the program. They consider it as a kind of experiential learning, as they learn by doing something. And they are advised to look around their community and see what works well and what could be improved. And they were really surprised that things that were there for years, they didn't even notice. So I would say one of the benefits of the program is that the students, the young people, actually pay attention to their community, and they are more involved in contributing to solving some of the issues that are not working well in their community. Of course, besides that, they do it quite often in a team. So they learn how to work in a team, how to give feedback, how to receive feedback in a constructive way, so that they can actually come up with innovative solutions. So they develop their creativity. They start looking for alternatives. So looking on what could be done from what we have. So I would say, at least in Moldova, quite many young people are pessimists. So they don't really see what can be done, that they can have an actual role in changing things. So I think this program also is showing to young people, to students, that they can play an active role, and that if they think, they can find some new solutions. And out of all the opportunities that we have around, if we understand how to combine and what to combine, then there's a great potential for coming up with something new that maybe can solve old issues. So yeah, this is something that we understood from the piloting of the program with the students from Moldova.
Oh, I like very much the pessimistic idea. Turn the pessimistic into an entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur, like change his mindset to look for problems, like look at the problem as a business opportunity.
Yes.
Solve it for your community and make money at the same time.
Yeah, so this is what I said, that they are really encouraged to be creative, to think from different perspectives and come up with something new.
Because, for example, if they find a problem in their community, it can be replicated and can be expanded globally. So maybe if they resolve one problem locally, they can do it globally. It can be an innovative solution with this way of thinking and look at problems as opportunities.
Yeah,
I really like it. Yes, Arnold?
Yes, I remember one statement of one of our students participating in the pilot, who told us, yeah, InnoSchool is not not only learning about entrepreneurship and about social innovation, it's really about acting like an entrepreneur and creating something new, something that can bring a change and can have an impact. So this is a completely new perspective for many students. They are often already aware of the crucial issues. They are aware of social challenges and needs. But maybe in the past, they just stayed in a rather passive role, and now they get the idea and became inspired to create their own idea and think about how to tackle a specific challenge. So they develop something new and create also a social innovation. And this is a quite new experience for many young people, that they see that they can make a contribution and can change something, yeah, and provide an idea to the world. So it's I think it's something about empowering the youth and providing them the right skills, competences to cope with such challenges also in their future career.
I like very much the focus on the contribution that they have to have a meaning, a purpose higher than just making money, just starting a business. This is way bigger than that. And I think this is the generation that desperately needs that and wants that in their life. And also I like the social innovation focus that you have in this project, because there's a lot of innovation and trends generating from the younger generation. And if their minds can be brought to solve societal issues, I think everybody has to win. So I really like these areas of focus. Adrian, how do you think the students can benefit from this project? Can you unmute, please? We don't hear you. No, we don't hear you. No.
This is not mute.
Okay, this is it.
Okay, I'm now on the phone, so I haven't too much time to think about it, because I had 2 ranks, and each rank closed the connection. But it's, as my colleagues already said, it's a kind of implicit learning, or learning by doing, learning how things are done. And I think it's very valuable that somehow by playing, they learn the process of doing an enterprise, of doing a business plan, especially of planning a business actually. And this is, I think, excellent. Although it goes on some kind of stereotypical way of thinking the planning of business. This is the way most of the people who are knowledgeable in this area actually plan simple business, and at their age, this is a very valuable skill. And secondly, as our colleagues already said, it's also the implicit learning of values and attitudes, of learning that actually not learning, but internalizing while doing a business plan, the idea of social innovation, of care, of responsibility, and even the idea that businesses should not be selfish, and that you can make a living by taking care of others. And what is more valuable from the whole story is that you don't learn these attitudes by being taught in the old way, which is the most secure way of not teaching anything, especially when attitudes are concerned, but by doing a business and running a business and mobilating your office and being happy that you gain some extra money, I mean, virtual money, and being able to gain something which is, yeah, selfish. Happiness is selfish. This is actually how attitudes are being built. And I would suggest that all attitude, almost all attitude building in endeavors in the school should be done in this way. I don't know how our colleagues from the other countries are, what their experience are, but in Romania, I personally am fed up with classes in civics and other things which try to teach students about civic responsibility or civic virtues or rights, like in the same manner like teaching about formulas in mathematics or the composition of some chemical substance. This will never work. Attitudes can be taught and are learned only by practicing them and not very much thinking about them, because it has to come smoothly. You don't have to think about too much about being good, about caring about others. You have to feel that.
Excellent point. The values and attitudes.
And that would be probably one of the biggest gains of an educational strategy like this game is proposing. Not every, in my opinion, not everything can be transformed into the game. Sometimes the game will overcome the content. But in this case, when you need to make people aware of things of which they shouldn't think too much, game is the best thing. And learning by doing is the best strategy.
Even in business nowadays, values are very important. They're like the DNA of the brand, and they get to be instilled also in the purpose of the business and in the culture of the business, which creates a positive work environment. And when the employees are happy and they work in a positive environment, they become the best brand ambassadors. So values are extremely important.
Yeah, I think otherwise you will not nurture real businessmen and real businessmen feeling like businessmen and genuine businessmen. You probably, not you, those who are not doing the things in the right way probably will nurture kind of cynical players who pretend to be businessmen or who pretend to be social entrepreneurs, or just because there is a good outcome out of that.
True. If Poeta Daniela or Arnold would like to add something.
Maybe just shortly about what you said, that students get to have a purpose. So maybe this is something that should also be emphasized, that they learn how to set goals, objectives, and they understand that in order to get to the aimed result, you need to have a certain set of activities you need certain means, resources, whom to involve. So these are also important aspects that are available in the day-to-day life, not only in business or in project management. So this is something I consider that it's really important that the students understand that things don't happen right away, that there's a way to undergo, that there are activities to be done, that you should consider many things in advance in order to get to the result that you aim for.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and now one final question, a very, maybe the most interesting one of this panel. How do you think that the InnoSchool project would be implemented in your country? Because you come from different countries, you have different cultures, different experiences, different approaches to public education. So what is your opinion how it can be implemented in your country? Wojta, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can start, of course. I think that InnoSchool has a great potential, but it's necessary to work well with all important actors in our region, because, however, cooperation with the teachers themselves proved to be the most important during the pilot of the project. So we have now set up a key activities that we believe will help expand InnoSchool to other schools, and we believe that emerging association of organizations that want to support entrepreneurship in primary, secondary, and higher schools, higher education will be the right key to achieving our goal. So we will try to be heard about us, but also be seen, and not only the online environment, but also the thematic events that will help us meet new teachers who will be able to get to know InnoSchool and show them its benefits. Because InnoSchool is an interesting project, but we need to spare its future and continue our work. I think it's a lot of the project will end this month, but still we need to continue because we want to meet the new schools, we want to meet new teachers, and we want to offer them this opportunity.
Daniela?
Yeah, I would support Wojtek in this respect, that the implementation of ILS, it's like something that requires that we bring together all the pieces of one puzzle. So we are currently working with policy bodies, with school management, teachers, but also students and parents. Of course, at policy level, the Department of Education, at least in our region, is really committed to continue these efforts and to promote InnoSchool to many other schools that haven't been involved so far. And the problem here is to identify the necessary resources to train more teachers. As the colleagues said before, this is one of the key aspects, that if more teachers will be available to facilitate the program, it will go further. And one other thing that we need to do is to advertise the program to students, because in the case of our country, it is an optional subject. So they need to know that they can choose this option. They need to understand, and if we make it attractive to them, then they will select it. But then it comes the second part, that there should be available teachers in their specific school. So these are the two major aspects that we need to work on further. And as I said, we have the Department of Education as our partner in this process, and they are willing to work together with us to identify the necessary means to continue training the teachers, both on the social entrepreneurship part, but also on the digital part. Though during the last few years, some of the teachers already have a better possession of digital skills. So this is what I would mention on behalf of Moldova, that these are the key aspects that we need to continue to work on, to promote it, and keep it on our agenda.
Mm-hmm. My question is, do you perform the trainings one-on-one, or you combine it with online training as well?
Well, previously we did it face-to-face, but we also use the online versions from time to time. Though, of course, I agree that the physical interaction is more suitable and wanted by us. But of course, depending on the circumstances, we combine it sometimes. So we use it depending on the situation.
Arnold, how do you think the InnoSchool project could be implemented in your country?
Yeah, first of all, I think that the project partnership has already created a very stable fundament for such a sustainable implementation of the InnoSchool learning system. Since the beginning of the project, we have always involved the target group, the relevant players, policy bodies in our territories. So this was really a co-creation process, and it's not something that just started as a last minute plan. So during the whole development process, we included the relevant partners, and of course, after end of project, this will be continued in order to achieve a sustainable implementation in our territories. Therefore, each partner has developed his their own action plan for sustainability in their territory, with some specific activities, how to implement the ILS sustainably. And in case of Austria, well, the situation in Austria is that entrepreneurship education is already very well established in our educational system. And there is even a broadening tendency to be recognized. So entrepreneurship education is getting more important in all levels of the education system. So in 2020, there was a national action plan created by our government with the aim to incorporate entrepreneurial competences in at all levels of education. And this means that new curricula are being developed where entrepreneurship education will be also included as key competences to this new curriculum, even starting with primary schools. So this is really a big change that is happening actually, and the connection to InnoSchool and to the social entrepreneurship is quite obvious, because our ministry is also focusing on sustainable development goals. So the aim is to train students, to train young people how to achieve those sustainable development goals, SDGs. And this is, here we see a very strong connection to the social challenges, to the social needs presented in the InnoSchool learning system, and the way how students develop their own ideas tackling this social needs and SDGs. So According to this national strategy, our own organization, the Board of Education for Vienna, is also focusing on this main topics, on new main topics, entrepreneurship and SDGs. And we see InnoSchool as a tool that can bring both together and can be implemented in our schools.
Mm-hmm. Adriana, I would like to ask you, how do you think the InnoSchool project can be implemented in Romania?
We already had a discussion on this topic in our team with decision makers from the Romanian Ministry of Education. It seems that the competencies covered by the product that the project is proposing to us are broadly speaking covered by the main competencies from the entrepreneurship learning field or discipline in the secondary education curriculum. So not very many changes should be done in order to make to consider that the game is appropriate to the current curriculum. It depending on some legal and technical issues that I'm not sure how complicated are. The Ministry of Education is willing, as far as I remember from the discussions, to make the game available to everyone in Romania using the education, the digital education content delivery platform that it's already in use or put in use by the Romanian Ministry of Education. I mean, will be delivered, if everything is okay, by the Romanian Ministry of Education, probably for free. I am not sure how this will work, and to be used by all the teachers, if this is possible in their entrepreneurship classes in Romania. Further developments in Romanian education that should be still discussed, but there is a big there is a large opening from the Romanian Ministry of Education on considering using and making available the ILS to teachers. It was also a suggestion that the game maybe could be made available for individual users, not only on classroom users, but I think that would require a kind of change in the entire design or philosophy of the product. But all in all, the prospects are good rather than being negative. Actually, in our panels, we had high decision making from high level in the Romanian Ministry of Education. So they know about the product, they were enthusiastic about it, they played with it, and they liked it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if the other guests would like to add something to this topic, or if we have questions from the audience. Well, if not, thank you very much for participating in this panel of discussion. It was really interesting. It was very interesting for me as well to hear your opinions and your perspective from your background to see how you can implement this beautiful project into the national curriculum. So I wish you a lot of good luck. Congratulations for everything you've done in this project. And yes, let's see it in the national curriculum from your countries. Thank you for participating.
Thank you very much, and have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Everyone.
I'd like to thank you all for participating in the conference and for staying with us. It's a really hot and interesting topic, not only for students, but also for economy. A lot of brands are shifting their perspective, and besides producing from sustainable and responsible sources, they're also looking for ways to make a greater impact in the economy, and they're bringing the customers as their big supporters in leading the change. So I admire very much your initiative. Congratulations. It's been an honor for me to host this conference. And I would like to invite Lucy Noswitz, who is the project manager of this international project and of projects at DEX Innovation Center. Lucy, welcome.
Thank you very much, Oana. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for participating in this event. Yeah, on behalf of the lead partner, DEX Innovation Center from the Czech Republic, please let me share with you just a few last thoughts. I hope that we open the door to InnoSchool learning system for you a bit more today. And if you haven't had a chance to meet us before, actually, today we share with you how our ILS with a serious game in its core works, and that we are pretty serious about it also in the future. Yeah, as actually Akos said at the very beginning, this is the closing event of the InnoSchool project, but just in its development phase, I would say, but not the end of InnoSchool. We wish ILS sustains and goes on. And if I can just share with you one thing, one quote that I've heard a time ago says, if you want to make the world a better place, you need to focus and start with your children. Thanks to InnoSchool, our children can learn more about the social challenges in their country and face them, find some good way out, of course. Yes, we are trying to encourage children or young people that they have a power to change and heal the world. And heal anything, actually. That is why 11 European organizations from 9 European countries came together more than 3.5 years ago to implement the project, which will not just deliver the valuable tool for teachers how to increase competences for business skills and social innovation, but that will be also a great fun in the end. After all, when I see what we've achieved, I feel really sorry I am not a student anymore and my teacher didn't choose ILS for our class. Please allow me to thank all the project partners, their developers, experts, all associated project partners of the InnoSchool project for their amazing job. Of course, without received funding from the new transnational program, InnoSchool wouldn't be possible either. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the brave teachers, students, headmasters, and other great people who contributed and believed in our InnoSchool idea from the very beginning, or they just join us later along the path. It wouldn't happen without you. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for joining us today. Back to you, Joanna.
Thank you, Lucy. So this is the end of the conference. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your involvement, and a lot of good luck in creating a positive impact through social entrepreneurship. You are truly creating a new generation of superheroes that would lead the change. Don't forget to view the video of this conference on the YouTube page of InnoSchool, and keep an eye on the follow-up email about the trial of the InnoSchool X version of the serious game and feedback. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.